Hi, my name's Manjot Singh. I'm an enterprise architect at MariaDB, and I'm here to talk to you about a cool feature with MariaDB platform called Causal Reads. What Causal Reads allow you to do is to read immediately from replicas right after writing to a primary. How does it work? So MariaDB platform has a few components, and we'll start with max scale, which is our great routing and caching and many other features component here. And max scale is where you will have your clients. So let's say you have an application. Your application will read and write from max scale. And underneath max scale, you may have your primary database. Let's say it's your OLTP MariaDB instance, and then you'll have a replica. And max scale will send writes to the primary if configured correctly and read from the replica. And again, the primary is replicating to the replica. And let's just label these ones. And what we'll want to do is, let's say we have a connection from an application. You submitted a form, perhaps on a website. It's done a write. We immediately want to see what the read is. In this scenario, let's say if the replica may have a second of lag, you won't get that result back immediately from that write if you were to go to the replica. And so a lot of people will say, well, I need a causal read. And so we only want to go to the primary. This kind of negates some of that benefit of many read replicas and distributing your load. So what max scale does is it will say, hey, replica, do you have, TX ID, your transaction ID, which in our case are called GT IDs, equals, 100. And the replica will say, not yet, give me a second. And as soon as it does, it'll send that read up. The other, and this is highly configurable. If it doesn't have it and it doesn't receive it within that configured time frame, max scale will just go back to the primary and say, hey, primary, give me that data you committed, and send that back up to the app. And to the app, this is all very transparent. The application will not know that any of this happened. It will actually receive that read fairly quickly. I used a second as an example. But it's highly scalable. It will use that function within max scale to ensure that all read replicas that it reads from are the most up to date. And it allows you to do that. So one of the questions that'll come up is, well, if I'm in a transaction, I don't want to take that risk of writing somewhere and then reading somewhere else. Well, the great thing is with this feature, max scale won't actually break up a transaction. So those single transactions will still go to only the primary until that commit happens. But with auto commit or read-only transactions, it will go to those read replicas. And again, you can have many of them underneath max scale, all going back to that same application. So that's a little primer on Causal Reads with MariaDB platform. And hopefully it solves some great problems for you. Thank you.